Hey everyone, it's Alexander, the real Mr. Robinson. Welcome to the channel. It's another Godzilla watch along. We are actually almost done with the series. We have 4 more movies after this one, and it all just goes downhill after this. I mean, I like King of the Monsters again, but you can't, this is the last great Godzilla movie that currently exists, and the one that we'll be watching. 2016's Shin Godzilla, which the longest break the franchise has had in between Japanese installments, because everyone does count I think everyone in terms of the fandom does count King of the Monsters and the Gareth Edwards film as Godzilla movies, but in terms of the Japanese films, 12 years is a long time. That's like waiting between Titanic and Avatar. But anyway, yeah, this is Shin Godzilla. We'll welcome everyone who's in the chat at the moment. This is the best Godzilla movie since 1964, in my opinion, and probably the most important one since 1954. So it's that great of a movie, and I think it's one of the best films of the last decade, honestly. Like, Godzilla be damned, it's just a great movie on its own. Before we get into it, I want to make sure everything's going good. I have excellent connection. Welcome all the regulars in the chat. For those of you who are watching, this in post, you can rent the movie digitally if you don't own it. And I encourage you to join in the watch alongs in the future. If you're not a Godzilla fan, then you could just join in as a standard Q&A. Or if you just want to wait until I get to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Star Wars, and Harry Potter, you can also do that as well. If you really like what I'm doing with the channel, you want to help support financially, go over to patreon.com/TheRealMrRobinson. The link to the Patreon page is in the chat. For $1 a month, you simply just support the channel financially. Once I hit 25 patrons, I will start doing exclusive watch-alongs for you guys. That way, you earn more than just supporting the channel financially. Yeah, but the link to my Patreon page is in the chat. If you can't support financially, then that's totally fine. Your subscriptions and views on the YouTube channel are good enough for me. No amount of support is too little. But anyway, that's all the housekeeping. I want to make sure I want to make something very clear right now, because I know some people in the chat saying you've never seen this movie before, which it'll be cool having you guys here during your first experience. But I want to make something perfectly clear about this movie. If you're going into this movie thinking there's going to be a lot of monster action, there's going to be a lot of if you're expecting it to be a traditional Godzilla movie, get that thought out of your head right now, because this movie is nothing like the last 2 movies we did, Final Wars or the 2014 film. This is more of a political satire. It's very dialogue heavy, and it's more of a critique on the Japanese government and the bureaucracies that led to their slow response during the Fukushima meltdown in 2011 and all the tsunamis and earthquakes. So I just want to make sure you guys are prepared for that, just in case you've never seen this movie for the first time and you're thinking this is going to be a lot of Godzilla. He's in it quite a bit. I'd say he's in it probably a few minutes longer than in the 2014 film, but you do get your Godzilla action. I just want to set you guys up right away that this is not a traditional Godzilla movie, and the result is one of the better films out there. And I think we are good. We've got more people in the stream. I see we have 10 viewers, but I'm assuming some of you guys are lurkers. So if you are lurking, please welcome to the chat. And I think 2 of those 10 viewers just left, so we now have 8. Yeah, let's just start it right now. So on the Funimation Blu-ray, it just starts off right away with the Toho logo. And I should emphasize the newer looking Toho logo, because for some reason this movie starts off with showing the Toho logo twice. One from the newer era film, and then one from the older, like from the 60s and 70s. So I want to make sure you guys are on the newer logo. That's so confusing. Yeah, this Blu-ray, like the digital copy starts with the Funimation logo, but the Blu-ray does not. So again, just want to prepare you guys on where to start properly. And for those of you watching this for the first time, what kind of movie you're expecting. So without further ado, this is one of the best films of the last decade, the third best Godzilla movie ever made in my opinion, and I'm going to start playing right now. Ragai 2015. This is the Funimation Blu-ray that was released in the United States in August of 2017. And of course, this movie starts off just like the 1954 film with the footsteps and that classic 1954 roar. Oh, that's another thing that for those of you who are watching this for the first time, you're gonna notice that this movie labels everything. It labels locations, it labels individual characters, even if they're on screen for like one scene. So just be prepared for that. Again, this is a very non-traditional Godzilla film. Even non-traditional for films in general to just label every single little thing. Oh yeah, and the movie doesn't waste any time getting into it. That's gross. Man, even like from the human, with the human sequences, this film is so creatively shot. Just in the way the shots are framed. Oh, another thing that's worth mentioning for those of you who have not seen this movie before, unlike the beginnings of the Heisei and the Millennium series, this film is a total reboot, meaning the 1954 film does not exist in this film's continuity. Chris Stuckman's review of the movie, it was good, but for me, it's also kind of one of a fine example of the American reception of this movie, where, like, the reason this movie got sort of mixed reception in the United States was because Americans don't really have a grasp on Japanese politics, which, I mean, I'm not going to claim to be an expert on Japanese politics either, but I just feel like a lot of the critics who reviewed this movie in the States didn't really review it with the consideration of like what it was like in Japan during this time. So again, I'm not going to claim to be an expert on Japanese politics, but the fact that they have to go to different conference rooms to continue meetings is ridiculous. 6 minutes and 15 seconds in. Yeah, again, this movie labels everything. DeQuan Tate summed it up best. This movie was made for a Japanese audience. It was, because you really have to either be an expert on Japanese politics or to have lived in Japan or be a Japanese citizen to really get a sense of this movie. And then they just this is such a ridiculous meme that they just cut away to sort of like a SpongeBob a few moments later. The Cinemassacre review was good as well. I really like James Rolfe and Cinemassacre in general. But it was a little bare bones in the sense of they were mainly talking about the Godzilla stuff. Which, again, it's fine. Don't make a mockery of it, and then it cuts to a giant tail coming out of the water. That dialogue there was ripped straight from the 1954 film. And then they just go straight to the Prime Minister's office. Again, they label everyone in this movie. And you like, if you guys are irritated, if some of you are irritated right now by the fact that there are just too many subtitles on the screen between translating the dialogue and the labels, try watching this in the theater, because during its theatrical run, its limited run here in the States, I actually saw this movie early before its limited US run, and what you're seeing here, yeah, what you're seeing there with the different subtitles all in English, that's what I saw when I got the screener link from Funimation, because they sent me a early screener link for this film when it came out. But during its limited theatrical run, Japanese subtitles would be on the screen at the same time they are labeling characters and objects and locations. So try doing that. So try like watching a movie with like English subtitles and Japanese subtitles on the screen at the same time. That character sums it up right there. This is ludicrous. Oh, she's my favorite character in the whole movie. Yeah, this character here is probably my favorite, where she's just constantly glued to her computer. She's often sarcastic, but also uh, knows her stuff. Well, just keep that in mind. I mean, let's be fair. This Godzilla is not equipped for fighting other monsters, at least physically. But it's so durable and strong that it would probably be a tough fight. Yeah, that didn't last long. It's all, like she said, it's already starting to support its own weight. Look at that. Like, um, there's something really special about seeing this movie with somebody uh who's has okay, so again, I have to emphasize this again. I saw this early thanks to a screener that Funimation sent me. But before that, I was already spoiled by how Godzilla starts out looking in this movie. But when I saw this in theaters, I saw it with somebody who had not seen this movie before, and his reaction to it was my dad that I saw this movie with, and his reaction of seeing this movie of seeing this version, blah, his reaction to seeing that first form of Godzilla. Gzilla said it before I could even get to it. It's the equivalent of seeing the giant claw for the first time, where and James Rolfe summed it up best in his Cinemassacre review, where it's like you see that for the first time and you're like, what is that? Like, it looks silly immediately from first glance. But like, the longer it goes on, it's just kind of unnerving. Like, the giant claw consistently is goofy throughout that entire film, but this second version of Godzilla is very unsettling. Like, it has these blank, expressionless fish eyes. It's bleeding blood out of its gills. And it's like, it's just such an unsettling creature. GZL 100, you'd think that, but I've shown my dad quite a handful of Godzilla movies, and he actually loves this film here. And this score here, Persecution of the Masses, like, the score has never popped up prior to this moment, and it's a powerful piece of music. And the CG actually is not too bad. Like, it's come a long way since the Millennium series in terms of CGI, but still not flawless. Oh, this moment's like you want an example of how dark this movie can get. Like, this is the first time where we actually see Godzilla kill a kid. Again, it's like the building was in its way and it tried to get over it. It didn't purposely destroy the building, but like, its weight couldn't support the building, and that family just like gets killed in the process. And also the prime minister, um, he's not depicted as like goofy or downright incompetent in terms of his decisions. It's like he's not like he's not entirely sure how to handle this situation, especially in the wake of him holding a press conference and being proven as a liar. Remember that bit of dialogue. Any civilian casualties will destroy the self-defense force forever. Like right now in any other typical Godzilla movie, doing all this would not be allowed because it's like it theoretically is just too sluggish. It's just a lot of it would it just feels like too out of place for a Godzilla movie. But somehow Hideaki Anno makes it work. Like, it really is an interesting look into how Japanese politics would work, especially in the wake of how they responded to the Fukushima meltdown. Godzilla 100. No, nothing beats the 1954 Godzilla film in terms of the best solo outing. Here's a prime example of how the CGI does not match Hollywood standards, where Godzilla is pretty much evolving because it just doesn't look good. Like right there. Man, that 1954 roar still creeps me out, and the fact that they reuse old Ifukube tracks straight from the films themselves instead of new compositions. I mean, I'm not complaining about hearing more Ifukube, but like the sound quality, especially since they use a lot of old school Showa era sound effects, it is a little it's a little jarring. It can be jarring at points. Which is like, yeah, the sound design is one element of the film that I don't think excels among the others. Well, the 1954 Godzilla is as tall as this incarnation of Godzilla that we're seeing right now. So, if the 54 Godzilla were fighting this version, then the 1954 one would win. But if it was fighting Godzilla's fourth form in this movie, the fourth form of this Godzilla would just crush the 1954 one. Oh yeah, remember that line of civilian casualties would destroy the self-defense force. Huh? So yeah, right there, it's like, would you order the self-defense force to attack despite the fact that there are civilians in the area and risk civilian casualty, or would you call it off just to avoid civilian casualty? And if they had fired on Godzilla, would they have killed him right then and there? Like, it's interesting to think of all the what ifs in that scenario. What, right, guy? I'm afraid to ask, what video are you talking about? Like, what's the? Okay, first of all, tell me what the channel name is. What's the channel name who made this video? Because that'll give me a clear indication on if I've seen it or not. And yeah, this moment right here with that piece of music, it is really trying to like it really is determining this huge terrible event happened, but life went on. Like we'll deal with this circumstance, but yeah, life goes on. Oh, you're talking about like an actual like physical fight. Oh, you're talking about like a animated video of the two monsters fighting each other. I thought you were talking about the 1954. I thought you were talking about comparing the two movies. Uh, yes, I have seen that video. Like this shot right here. They just put the camera on a chair as someone's rolling it around. Like the only other director that I could see doing a shot like that is Wes Anderson. There are just some crazy ass shots for simple things in this movie. GPN, or no, GNP. GNP stands for Gross National Product. And Kanto is a specific region in Japan. It's not just Pokemon stuff. I don't watch Gamer Thumb TV, and I used to watch Game Grumps, but not anymore. That's one thing I like about this movie. Leave it to social outcasts to handle the problem. Huh. Yeah, that just shows a bunch of social media reactions to what's going on. So yeah, in this universe, there's no President Obama or President Trump. But I guarantee if you reworked this movie, set it in America where Godzilla was a metaphor for the U.S. government's inept handling of the coronavirus, then Trump would call this movie a hit shot, hit job. I mean. Okay, I got a question for all of you. This character right here that just popped up. Hold on one second. Wait, Goromaki. That. Oh, Goromaki. That name actually comes from the main character's name. That's the main character's name in Son of Godzilla, actually. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, that character that just popped up. Oh, and Goromaki is also the name of the reporter in the Return of Godzilla. But anyway, that character that just popped up to give our main character information on the creature, she's supposed to be American. And the daughter of an American politician. Now, does anyone in the chat actually believe that she is from America? Because out of all the things that out of all the fantastic things that this movie does, I'm not going to say that she gives a bad performance at all, except when she's talking in English. But the fact that this movie tries to play her off as if she's trying to pursue a career in American politics, I find to be bullshit. I see a lot of no's, with our flow saying, not in a million years. And her name's Miss Patterson, or Pattinson. Again, bullshit. It's interesting that this movie refers to Godzilla by both names. And like the Americans call it Godzilla, but the Japanese call it Gojira. There'd be fighting words around here. What did this chat turn into, a Western bar all of a sudden? Yeah, there's weird that there are 3 different characters in the Godzilla series with the exact same name, Goromaki. That one character with the that one character with the pink scarf or the pink towel, he kind of looks like Ken Satsuma. Kinda. GZO 100, Godzilla's not a character in this movie. Godzilla, this version of Godzilla is lifeless, soulless, has no personality at all. That's what makes it scary, but no, like, he's not a character in this film. And I'm forgetting her name, but the computer girl is still the best character in this movie. Yeah, I see a lot of comparison, like people saying like it's pointless to compare Shin Godzilla to the Gareth Edwards film. Um, the last three movies we've done, Final Wars, Gareth Edwards Godzilla, and now this, are all totally different from one another, and it's not really fair to compare either films since they are drastically different. But let's be fair. This movie is better than those two. They're different, but this is the better one. Yeah, honestly, this would be one of those movies that probably better to watch dubbed because there's so much dialogue and sometimes you can't keep up with it, but I can't pull myself to do that. Just because like I wouldn't take it seriously or take it as seriously. Come on, let's be fair. Like Jaws is better than Sharknado. Anything's better than Sharknado. A bunch of Save Gojira protesters out there. Hmm. No, 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 Gzilla 100. I will not allow anyone to say that Jaws 4 is better than blank, 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 because it's not. No, 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 no. What I love about her character is that she's so straightforward on what she wants to say and has no reaction to it at all. And now he's back. Completely different. That close up of Godzilla right there. When they showed that in the trailer, I legitimately thought that that was Suitmation, or at least a puppet. And to watch the movie and find out that that was CG, I'm like, wow, that had me fooled. See, now look at these people wearing masks. Why can't America do that? Like, I think the thing that helps make the CGI on Godzilla here better than you'd think for a Japanese movie is that Godzilla moves so sluggishly that that it helps rendering. Yeah, there's something very off-putting about that Godzilla design. Huh? You could see him right in the distance back there. But yeah, just the freakish look of the head, those tiny hands. There's something very unsettling about this creature, and the tail is also just, ugh. Yeah, for this being a total reboot, I do like that they brought in old Godzilla themes. Yeah, this sequence, um, this sequence coming up right here, it's probably one of the single best scenes in the entire franchise. Like, it just terms of Godzilla versus the Self-Defense Force. Because, like, there's a clear plan on what they want to try to do. And even though I do miss the old special effects techniques of suitmation and miniatures, this sequence, I don't think it could have worked as well with miniatures. Again, the weird shots that they do. The fact that we've seen, like, tank mortars and bullets bounce off Godzilla before, but not like this. Yeah, again, this shot coming up where all the missiles fire at once at Godzilla. Like, in the other movies, they would have missed a couple of times. But no, every single missile hits Godzilla. Yeah, they hit, every shot counts. And it does nothing. Yeah, it's like this wide shot of all the tanks firing, everything hitting Godzilla, and then they start aiming for the head. It's such an amazing sequence. And it does make you wonder if they could have taken out Godzilla earlier. Oh yeah, there's a lot about this movie that is surprisingly done through CGI, and you wouldn't think of it originally. I love this part coming up. Like a Godzilla that moves as slowly as possible manages to do that while covered in a thick layer of smoke. Like, did he kick it? Did he use his tail on it? Because he obviously didn't throw it. Because if this Godzilla tried to pick anything up, let alone a bridge, I feel like his hands would just break off. Yeah, his skin, like, his skin just looks like lava, pretty much. Of course, the Americans walk off. Yes, because I'm sure America's going to make things all better. Such an unsettling, like the music and just the way he looks is so unsettling. And the craziest thing is, like, we don't know what this Godzilla's end game is. He doesn't really go out of his way to destroy things. Like, he just walks in a straight line like a zombie. Like, it's like that's what I mean about this Godzilla having no personality. To where, like, it's just so blank and emotionless. And of course, the computer girl is the only calm one in this evacuation. Yeah, that's one shot where the CGI just doesn't look good. And then this scene. Probably... Ooh. Like, this scene is haunting. Like, after seeing this scene the first time I saw it, like, I just couldn't stop thinking about it on how impactful it is. And, like, this is a perfect comparison of the last movie, where when you see Godzilla fire his atomic breath in the 2014 film, there's just this sense of excitement. And with this movie, you watch it and there's no excitement. It's just horror. That payback line just felt so forced, and the delivery was so flat. And then he starts shooting lasers from his back. Because why not? And just in one swipe, the Prime Minister's dead. Yeah, just like the shots where the entire city's on fire. Just that orange glow is so creepy and haunting. Which is why I don't think... Like, this is probably the scariest film since the original. And that's the best shot in the movie right there. Is just a wall of fire behind Godzilla. Then Godzilla just kind of walks really weird in that shot, and that's an example where the CGI just doesn't look too good. And then he just powers down. Okay. So this is a great parallel to the other scene earlier where you had that cheery music playing as to simulate this horrible thing happened, but life goes on. And now on the opposite end, we have this moment where it's like this horrible event happened and it's tragic. Like the prime minister is killed. Several other higher ministers have been killed. And the city's polluted with radiation. Yeah, the lasers out of his back was something... it was just kind of weird, honestly. Like, I don't mind it, but for a movie depicting Godzilla as, like, as dark and as serious and lifeless as possible, the lasers from the back feel a little out there. You know, they should. It would be funny if they replaced that water bottle with the Snickers. It's like, Higuchi, here, eat a Snickers. Yeah, like you just go full blown George Lucas, and or even Spielberg during the 20th anniversary of E.T. and just digitally replace that water bottle with a Snickers, and it would be a commercial right there. We are 1 hour and 11 minutes into the movie, and they are still introducing characters. That ramen looks so bland. Oh, and then they just give Higuchi another title right there. Like, that really is one thing that I think can be incredibly overwhelming. It's still really weird that Godzilla just like his method of sleeping is just stand there frozen as if he's Mecha Godzilla. Yeah, when she's speaking English, she is not all that good. And this character actually speaks English a little better than she does. Again, like, I mean, even the Americans can't speak English normally in this film. And again, I think that's just more of a problem with most Japanese directors. Because what I was saying last week about Ryuhei Kitamura, Don Fry might be dry as hell in Final Wars, but for the other English-speaking actors, Ryuhei Kitamura knows how to direct them. And Hideaki Anno, as amazing as this movie is in terms of his direction, he does not know. Yeah, yet he doesn't know how he he can't direct English speaking actors. Oh yeah, also this movie is not very kind to Americans. because Americans were the reason why we got into why the prime minister is dead and why Godzilla unleashed all that radiation. And now they want to hit Godzilla with a nuclear weapon. Somebody said, I wish there was a Shin Godzilla 2. I don't want to see a sequel to this movie because I know like it can't be it can't be as good or better than this film. But if a sequel were to exist for this movie, there's only one way to take this film, and that's the only direction that you could take this film in terms of a sequel is make Godzilla be a metaphor for the coronavirus and make it a worldwide pandemic. And I'll explain when we get to the end of the film. But other than that, I do not want to see a sequel to this film. I want to see whatever Toho has in store once Godzilla vs. Kong eventually comes out. Sorry, I got this Superman curl. Such a downer of a sequence. Okay. Levi Gifford asks, am I ever going to review the Godzilla cartoons? I'm still going through the TriStar series, so I don't know when, but I am watching that right now. As for the Hanna-Barbera cartoon, I don't think I'd get around to that anytime soon because it's terrible. Like that's my short review for it. It's just not good at all. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys, if I'm silent. I'm just so fixated on this movie right now. Even though I've seen it 3 times from beginning to end, it's still... There's a lot of this that still drags me in. What is my favorite Godzilla collectible that I have? I made a video about it last year, so you could go to my Godzilla playlist and check it out. Do I have any X Plus figures? No, because I have an arm and a leg. I have my arms and legs still, and those things cost an arm and a leg to get. Dragon Ball Evolution watch along. In order for you guys to get that, you're gonna have to support to Patreon because I am not doing that. I've not seen that movie, but I am not doing that for free. Y'all are gonna have to pay. You're gonna have to pay $1 a month to see that happen. This is such a disheartening moment. Because, like, again, the U.S. is gonna... Theoretically, U.S. is gonna drop another nuke on Japan. And the intentions are to, like, save Japan from Godzilla, but there's no proof of if it'll work at all. Racer Bike says, but we all know you want to do a Transformers 2 watch along for free. No, I don't. I'm not gonna rewatch that movie again. Unless there's high demand for it. And again, again, like, one of my goals on Patreon. Let me see if I can find it. If I reach a certain amount of if I meet a certain amount of patrons, where is it? Why can't I find it anywhere? But anyway, like, one of my goals, if I get to a certain number of patrons, is to watch Transformers The Last Night. Oh, this part right here. Like, you just see that part of the tail just come cracking down, and you know, like, there is a time crunch to between Godzilla waking up and whatever they're planning. Call me stupid, but there is part of this that trying to determine Godzilla's science and how he functions in terms of the biology. I don't get it. Like, it's the equivalent. As many times as I've watched this movie, as much as I love it, I don't quite get this part here. It's like in Iron Man 2 where you see Tony create a new element and you're just like, okay, how did he do that? Like, either I'm really dumb or the movie didn't do a good job of explaining it. Hideaki Anno directs German actors better than American actors. That's such a... Again, the cinematography in this movie is so creative. Okay, I found the goal in terms of Transformers 5 watch along. If I reach 150 patrons, I will do a live watch along of Transformers The Last Night for patrons, and then I will do a review of that movie for everyone. So there you go. I finally did it. He still hasn't woken up. 2 days and Godzilla's still been sleeping or sleeping. Or is that 2 days until the nuke drops? I hate this scene so much right here. Sweetheart, I hate to break the news to you, but you're never going to be president. Nobody believes for a second that you are American. And yeah, it's like that's the one scene in this movie that I absolutely hate because I mean, for one, like the idea to to shoot the other guy as some faceless American, it just comes across as cheesy. His acting's just downright terrible. And the whole notion of if you do this, you're going to tarnish your name and your chances of being president. I'm like, seriously, who buys into that? Like, is there one? I would like to find one person that watches this movie, looks at Miss Patterson, and instantly thinks, "Oh yeah, she's American. She could definitely run for president." Like, it's just like, it's the most unrealistic thing in the movie, and there's a giant radioactive monster roaming the city. Sorry. Like, every time I see this movie, I dread that whole scene. Oh yeah, Parasite's great. I still think in terms of foreign films of the last decade, this is slightly better. And I'm so irritated that it didn't get more recognition outside of Japan. But Parasite and Bong Joon-ho in general is just amazing. The fact that Parasite won Best Picture is great as well. Okay, now we're coming up to the film's climax. I mean, this movie did, during its limited run, it did well enough to where they actually extended it by a week. Um, so I think it definitely would have had legs a little bit. And there's the theme from Battle in Outer Space. Man, the way Godzilla's like moving around to aim his back lasers, it would have been so comically dark if it would be so comically dark if one of the lasers actually hit the crew on top of the roof. Oh yeah, but it's not done. Like, yeah, that's a good question. How can it do that? There's no point in compare. Why would you compare Parasite to any of the Godzilla movies? Like, it's a completely like Parasite's not even a genre film the way the Godzilla films are. Yeah, this sequence here does demonstrate a lot of the weak points of the CGI. Like when Godzilla moves faster than he should, that's when the CGI doesn't look good. Those are all miniatures. All the office equipment and desks falling out, those are miniatures done by Shinji Higuchi, who was responsible for the Heisei Gamera series. You know, this is how I've been waiting to make this joke. I don't think I ever made it in my reviews. But this is how Zack Snyder's Superman would fight Godzilla. Rather than just punching the monster out repeatedly, he'd just throw buildings on Godzilla and cause all kinds of collateral damage. Ugh, just like that blank, the blank expression in his eyes and those teeth. Again, I can't stress enough how unnerving this Godzilla looks. No, Superman. If anyone who knows Superman properly, you can you can write Superman in a way where he saves people and doesn't and tries to cause as little collateral damage as possible. Like the Richard Donner's Superman. Who would win, the Kiryu Saga Godzilla or DCEU Superman? Godzilla. Just because I hate, hate's a strong word. I actually do like Henry Cavill as Superman, but Zack Snyder is the reason why that Superman is not... Zack Snyder is the reason why that Superman's so controversial. And it's because of Zack Snyder's complete lack of understanding about that character. That's why I hate that or dislike that Superman. Like, Henry Cavill's fine. It's just you just need a director and a writer that actually likes Superman. Freeze the bugger. Yeah, the labeling of every single location and object is just ridiculous. I think it's intentional, but it's so ridiculous. Don't even start with me on that, Mr. Bond, because I know my feeling. I know your feelings on that movie, and you damn well know my feelings about that piece of shit. But we're not talking about a terrible comic book movie. We're talking about a Godzilla movie. That won Best Picture in Japan, by the way. There is a lot of tension in this scene, because you're like, they got Godzilla grounded, and he's like, is this working? It's like, look, he's about to charge his atomic breath and lasers, but and then he's frozen solid. This Godzilla's scarier by a long shot. The GMK one's scary as well, but this Godzilla just unsettles me more than any other incarnation since the 1954 film. Or the 1954 Godzilla. You know, there is that thing of, we defeated the monster, but also it's like, hey, there's a giant monster stuck in the middle of the city. How do we get rid of it? And the first time this character's actually smiled. Yeah, it's like they took out Godzilla, but you clearly see that he's stuck there. Like, he's frozen in the middle of the city. And it's like, are they going to remove him with helicopters? What happens if he, like, if all of a sudden he wakes up? Again, nobody for a hot second believes that she is American. Like, it would have made a lot more sense if they hired an actress who was Japanese American. Like, someone who, like, yeah, you could actually, like, she's clearly Japanese, but you could tell you could tell she was born in America. But no, like, I don't know. That just bugs me. Okay, so this final shot here is kind of the reason why I don't want to see a sequel. Because this last shot of what looks like Godzilla human hybrids coming out of his tail is just so... Like, that's a creepy way to end the film. Huh? And there, it's over. Like, you end on that really... Like, you defeated the monster and you ended with some upbeat ideals, but the very last shot of the film is just, it's the equivalent of the Statue of Liberty in Planet of the Apes, where it's just like, it gives you this unnervous feeling when it's all over. And if they were to ever make a sequel about it, I feel like it would just kind of ruin the mystery. But again, if they were to make a sequel to Shin Godzilla, the only thing they could really do is have Godzilla be a metaphor for the coronavirus, where it spreads worldwide and each country has their own Godzilla-type creature to deal with. And we see different countries deal with it in their own way, whether it's New Zealand dealing with it in a very sensible manner, or the United States just screwing it up to no end. That's the only way you could make a sequel to Shin Godzilla work. But again, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see a sequel to Shin Godzilla, because this movie's perfect the way it is, with no need for a follow-up at all. So yeah, things are going to go downhill next week. Next week we're at the penultimate end of the Godzilla watch-along series with Planet of the Monsters and City on the Edge of Battle. Yeah, so again, thank you guys for tuning in. If you are watching these in post-production, I do encourage you to watch these live. And interact with the chat. But if you're not into Godzilla, you could just treat these as regular Q&As. Or if you want to wait for when Godzilla's done and I get around to the MCU, the Star Wars, and Harry Potter series, then you can join in for that. If you want to help support the channel financially because you really like what I'm doing, you could go to patreon.com/TheRealMrRobinson, and you can donate as little as $1 a month. If I hit 25 patrons, I will start doing live watch-alongs for all patrons, even those that donate $1 a month. If you can't donate financially to the channel, that's fine. Your subscriptions and your views are just all that all that matter. And so yeah, next week is the Godzilla anime trilogy. Yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, which will be next week. But until then, this is the real Mr. Robinson telling you there's only one.